My name is Lifeng Han, and here my friends call me Aaron. And my PhD is about the combination of multi-word expression with machine translation. And I'm working with my supervisor, Professor Alan Smeaton, and Professor Gareth Jones. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your background.
Uh, about myself, and I'm from a countryside of China, and the village called Beiying. It's around 500 families, so it's not that big in China. It's around 500 kilometers south from Beijing, so it's a bit middle of nowhere. And I went to the capital of this province for my undergrad. It's called Shijiazhuang, the name of the city. And I did mathematics for my undergrad degree. And the university called Hebei Normal University. It's normal university. That means in China there are some university to train the high school teachers. So I was trained to be a teacher to teach mathematics at that time, and yeah, that's what I did for my undergrad. After that, I went to Macau, a bit far from my hometown, to do my Master of Science. That's where I started some research experience after I became a research assistant since the first year of my master. And I entered natural language processing laboratory. So studied this natural language processing and machine translation research. And it's a 3 years research master, so a bit of experience for master students. And after that, I went to Amsterdam, and I went to University of Amsterdam for 2 years, in a very excellent interdisciplinary institute called Institute of Logic, Language, Computation. I was in a group of Professor Khalil Siman doing some machine translation research, and that I was very honored to be there because they are very excellent researchers. Yeah, then I came to DCU after Amsterdam. Yeah.
So now tell me a bit about your research.
And my research now I'm focusing on how to improve machine translation quality with multi-word expression. For machine translation, it's a broad topic actually because it's including syntax, semantics, cognitive science, mathematical modeling, and applied linguistics, many aspects. So we cannot do all aspects. So one of the topic I choose and I'm interested in is how to enhance the translation quality with multi-word expression. And firstly, multi-word expression is usually when we say there are multi-words to give us a concept of some expression. Like for example, in English, when we say someone passed away, we can also say someone kicks bucket. This is 3 words to transfer this expression. And such multiple expressions is a problem in translation because it usually introduces ambiguity, such as if we use machine translation, like people are usually familiar nowadays, such as when we use Google Translate, Baidu Translate, it's all translated by machine. But how it works, usually people don't care. But if we are doing translation research, we need to fix the problem. Such as if the machine is not smart enough. I tried some months ago that to translate Cakes Bucket to Chinese. Because I didn't give it enough information like context information, background information, or paragraph, only such a term. It literally translates word by word like someone kicked something. That is really bad translation, firstly. Secondly, it can misleading people when they want to get some idea like what is my friend saying, like that will make a big joke. To improve the translation quality, I talk with my supervisor like how to build a better translation model that we can include this multi-word expression information into the system. Like we did some literary review. Firstly, there are not enough work on this area. Secondly, it's still a growing topic. Like there is an international research workshop on this topic. Is around the 3rd or 4th year, not that long enough, and there are not enough like multi-word expression corpora for the researchers like especially machine translation research, to use it and use this corpora to train the model, like include this corpora as extra knowledge or feature into the model to enhance the learning. So recently we did some corpora collection, and especially bilingual corpora, like parallel translated, and we did Chinese English and German English. And nowadays we are still extending the corpora to make it wider, and other researchers, they can use our corpora, and we just submit the paper. Yeah, and another thing, like this multiple expression not only introduce ambiguity, but it also have syntax influence if we do machine translation, because for syntax structure, the boundary of multiple expression will influence like the overall structure of sentence. If they recognize multiple expression correctly, it helps them to recognize the whole sentence structure, like if we do parsing of sentence. And if they split the multiple expression wrongly, like a part of the multiple expression go front, part goes right, then the sentence structure will be wrong, and it introduce big problem. Yeah.
Okay, so could you very quickly then just tell me a bit about your modeling, your specific approach to multi-word expressions?
Yeah. Nowadays, because the neural machine translation, especially deep learning model, is very popular, it changed the overall translation system. Like when I started the machine translation from 2011, it was statistical machine translation, and people use all this probability theory to do this calculation of the co-occurrence and language modeling, which word should be in front of which one, and which word should translate to which one, all according to the statistics. But since 2014 and 2015, this deep learnings get popular, and people, some researchers introduce word embedding. For word embedding, we mean we change the word, encode the word into some word vectors, like mathematical vectors. After we change the word into mathematical vectors, we can do a lot of calculations that we couldn't do before, a lot of changing and propagation things. So now we want to encode the multiple expression into the word vector form and include it as a special feature in the neural network. And for neural network, nowadays there are still many researchers who want to figure out how it learns, because the performance is much better than statistical machine translation. However, because for neurons we set a lot of layers, and each layer we set many neurons, we don't know how exactly the information was transformed and learned, like how it changed from this language into another language. Like when we encode it from such as English into word vector, and we have learning functions, and then when we decode it, such as we decode it into Chinese or German, it will become another language, target language we call it. And how it goes through this learning procedure is still a very hot research topic. And we want to try to include this part of knowledge into this learning procedure. And we also want to try to figure out how the information flows during these different layers. Yeah, that's how we want to do it. Yeah.
So, Fran, tell me a bit about why is your work important? What are some real-world applications?
I think there are a lot. For example, especially for young people, nowadays we all use internet and social networks. Such as I have many international friends, and when they want to know what I post in Chinese on Instagram or Twitter, they can just click translate. They will know what I'm posting. They can know more things and make it easier for this international communication. And secondly, nowadays a lot of things changed very globally, and people want to know such as what happening in another country, and they want to read some news. But usually the local newspaper is the first thing that they get information. So if we want to read that language, we can just click translate to do this machine translation to get the idea. Secondly, by offline, the document translation is a very traditional topic. Usually that is done by professional translators. But nowadays, the machine translation can offer the professional translators a very handy tool to do this translation. And probably it will not be replaced, but it really helps them a lot.